Greetings and happy Halloween! Today marks this special day, full of memories of going outside in our best costume over our winter coats to go trick-or-treating in the biting cold. It also marks the end of the Inktober challenge, which is a big thing. This challenge is not as easy as it might look. This is only my second year of actually making it to the end, even though I must have attempted it for twice as long. I'll take you through a small tour of my sketches, good and bad, and we'll talk a bit about supplies and my final impression on this year's run. I picked up the Moleskine sketchbook I had used for last year, as that had been my intention when picking up this specific book to use. Since I draw on both sides of a page, I can fit 2 Inktobers in one Moleskine with a few pages to spare. For this year, I had decided on a theme before jumping into the challenge. I wanted to practice calligraphy, so I chose to pick a plant each day, write its name in Latin, then include a drawing of the plant itself. I knew beforehand which ink I wanted to use. Each year, I try to pick a product I'm not familiar with to use, but I always keep in mind that I might have to adjust my tool selection as I progress. This is also why I don't do a video about my Inktober supplies until the month is done. I chose a new plant each day, going through the index of the Latin names in alphabetical order. For the few days left after I reached the letter Z, I figured I'd just pick some of my favorite plants. For the calligraphy, I'd practice on a spare sheet for the new letters I wanted to learn. At some point, I had written them enough that I could work them without practice. I was able to get through the month, painting one plant each day, until I reached the 25th. When I got to that date, I realized I was exhausted with the whole process and couldn't find the desire to continue. I talked about it briefly with artist friends, but the fact of the matter was that I could indeed stop if I wanted. It was not mandatory that I continue. I didn't paint any Inktober piece that day, not sure of anything but that I wanted a break. I kept thinking about what I had said, how I was hoping that I'd learn something by the end of the month. Was there anything for me to learn here? At that very specific moment of doubt, I received a message from someone saying that they thought my Inktober pieces were good. Whether or not I agree is not the point, but it gave me even more doubt about my choice to stop. I sat down to think, how can I make it so that I can end Inktober in terms of art, but not be exhausted by the repeated process? And this is when I learned something new, not about the tools or the mediums, but about myself. I realized that a repetitive, consistent thing done in a routine fashion is not for me. I dreaded doing 7 more days of Inktober drawings, but was excited to actually paint all 7 in one day. I sat down on the 26th and painted all the Inktobers I had left to do. Some of these are my favorites. I was much more focused and attentive to what I was doing by doing many similar things at once than I was by doing a bit of it each day. What I learned on one piece, I could immediately apply to the next one. While all my Inktober pieces are not anything special, I felt a whole lot better by finishing all 7 images left in one strong session, rather than dreading the Inktober moment for another week. As for the tools I used, I tried many different brushes before I found a combo that I was comfortable with. The very first Inktober piece is a mess in terms of calligraphy, but I quickly fixed that, and by the second drawing I was mostly set for the rest of the month on that front. For the drawing, I tried various sizes of synthetic brushes. I tried painting with lines or without, sitting or standing. In the end, I chose 2 Chinese brushes to work out my paintings. The first one is a very fine one, mostly for details and line work. It can make extra fine lines if I only use the tip, but I can also press it down to get variations. The second brush is a larger, stubby Chinese brush that I use for washes and to paint rough shapes. For the calligraphy, I used a small, flat oil painting brush. The ink is Drawing Ink by Rotring. I chose it because it's waterproof and dilutes well with water. Also, it's easier to erase pencil lines, even the ones covered by the ink. Finally, I used 2 books and Google to search for references. The first book is about medicinal plants and their uses. I would use this book's index to pick out names for the plants to draw, and Google to find additional image references. I also used my calligraphy book to learn about the alphabet I wanted to use for the whole month. And now the challenge is over and done. I'm glad I finished it, even if unconventionally. To me, these challenges are about learning and growing, and I think this year's worked in that direction for me. Have you drawn for Inktober this year? How was your experience? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, bye bye. Oh, and happy Halloween!